Hello, and welcome to another in the exciting presentations from the CIMH for World Meteorological Day 2021. My name is Kathy Ann Caesar. I am the Chief Meteorologist at the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology, and today we'll be looking at exciting jobs in the world of the ocean, our climate, and weather. Why meteorology? It's a very fascinating science. Are you fascinated about the world and weather around you? Would you enjoy a field of science that applies to human affairs? Are you excited by a challenge of applying basic scientific principles? I know there's some of you out there who do enjoy using mathematics. How about using mathematics to understand about the weather? Do you like to travel and learn about other countries? Or what about working with cool tools like satellites, radars, computers? All of these are things that you can do in the field of meteorology. So how can I start on a career path towards meteorology and hydrology? These are the main sciences studied, of course, at the CIMH. We start off with math and physics. It is the foundation to all that we do. Other subject areas, such as geography, are very useful. From here, of course, you can branch off to be in meteorology, atmospheric sciences, or hydrology. But the combination of math, physics, computer science, and engineering can all lead you to become either a meteorologist or a hydrologist. Another interesting field which actually helps both meteorology and hydrology is geophysical modeling. It helps us to map and understand the world around us. You can also become a tropical meteorologist or get involved in climatology, agricultural meteorology, which we also call agrometeorology, hydrological engineering, water source management, or water resource technology. And you could go ahead to earn and be a researcher, a university lecturer, or a consultant. So where do we start? What do I need? You need 5 CSEC subjects. These must include English language, physics, and mathematics. Chemistry and geography are really helpful, but not always necessary, but you need them to start with. CAPE is very advantageous because it helps you prepare for these subjects going forward. A good command of the written and spoken English is important in any field, and very important in our field as it helps us communicate scientific information and knowledge as we go forward. Foreign languages are a significant asset. Once you've completed studying as a meteorologist and hydrologist, you can be working anywhere in the world. The demand, as we'll see going forward, is important and makes you eligible to work anywhere. Having computing skills is also very important and a necessary asset. The World Meteorological Organization, or WMO, has defined 2 areas of meteorological personnel. There is the meteorologist, who is a person who has completed at a level of the university degree level a package called the Basic Instructional Package, which I will explain in a few minutes. Also, there is meteorological technician, which is a person who has completed a similar package, but it's on the level of meteorological technicians, known as the Basic Instructional Package for Meteorological Technicians. These can qualify you to be and branch out in many different areas in these fields. So let me explain what is the Basic Instructional Package for Meteorologists, or what we know as the BIPM. This actually includes 4 specific areas of study which needs to be completed for you to be qualified as a meteorologist. Physical meteorology. This is the study of cloud physics, thermodynamics, and radiation, including air quality and observing systems. Dynamic meteorology, the mathematics of meteorology, applying equations to understand what is happening in our atmosphere, including learning about numerical weather prediction products. Synoptic meteorology, studying systems large and small, from your tornadoes to your hurricanes. Climatology, looking at the long-term effects of weather and how it affects us on a day-to-day basis, including climate change and climate variability. Once you have completed this successfully, you are internationally recognized as a meteorologist. So, can I get a job in meteorology? Are there jobs available? Well, in 2016, the WMO conducted a survey of its meteorological services, and they found internationally that there will be some jobs opening up in the next 5 years, and that was from 2016, and that includes, of course, 2021. What they found, especially in the Americas, is that anywhere from 26 to 50% of the jobs or personnel will be retiring in that time frame. Hence, there will be a lot of jobs opening and a lot of opportunities in the field of meteorology. By far, the most popular job for meteorologists in the Caribbean is that of aeronautical meteorological personnel. These are personnel that work at the airports to support our aviation community in that field. Aviation meteorologists perform the duties of observing the weather and ensuring that they prepare forecasts to warn the pilots of impending hazardous weather. They are supported by aeronautical meteorological observers. Note that not only do they have to be qualified in these fields, but they have to exhibit competency, that is, ensuring that they could do the job. So, a degree meteorologist could be qualified, but they also have to satisfy a competency requirement. Let's take a look at our meteorological technicians. As I said previously, our observers are meteorological technicians who go out and observe the weather 24/7 on the hour. Our senior meteorological technicians do quality controls and archive meteorological data, as well as complete climate summaries. They are also training junior officers. We do have some officers that specialize in the release of balloons. These are called rain-sun officers. Of course, we need our equipment maintained and repaired. So there are special meteorological technicians who specialize in equipment technology and in the growing world of increasing technology, also in the IT field. This year, the World Meteorological Organization also identified other areas in which meteorology technicians are needed going forward. These areas include air quality instrument technicians, marine meteorological observers, climate specialists, hydrological observers, agrometeorological observers, and IT, computer science, is also a growing field. So let's look at some of the very exciting jobs that meteorologists work in. Of course, there's a hurricane specialist forecaster. Internationally, including at the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida, there are forecasters whose prime duty is monitoring and forecasting the development and intensifying of tropical cyclones. At the NHC, this includes the Northern Atlantic and East-North Pacific basins. These forecasters track and look at the change in intensity and structure of these tropical cyclones. They coordinate the issuance of tropical cyclone warnings and warn of the hazardous phenomena, including storm surges and tornadoes, which can develop associated with these tropical cyclones. They ensure the quality of the meteorological information, and most importantly, they communicate to you and I so that we can be safe. Can you identify that storm? Yes, that is Hurricane Maria as it moves across the Eastern Caribbean in 2017. An emerging area for forecasters or meteorologists is that of impact-based forecasting. Here, meteorologists make and communicate forecasts that stress the potential impacts to better support decision-making process. So we look at the likelihood of an event versus the impacts. Is there a high likelihood of the event, and will this severely impact you? And so we look at various events, as you see here, from flooding, road damage, property liability, vehicle crashes, sporting events, downlines, even construction. We're hoping that we can better communicate to you, the public, how these events affect you and help make a better forecast. Forensic meteorology. Forensic meteorology is one of those really exciting areas that has been around for a number of years, and we don't think about it. Think about it if you get into an accident. One of the first things you ask is what the weather was like. Was it raining? Is the road slippery? That is what forensic meteorology is all about, and it ranges from a simple accident to criminal cases. It's the process of investigating past weather events at certain locations, looking at various records to understand and determine how meteorological or weather events can contribute to the given case. That involves weather observations, satellite imagery, even eyewitness accounts. And here all that data is collected, correlated, and used in legal determinations as a tool applied to the pursuit of justice. Weather is known as the silent witness. Because it's continuous, because we have continuous records, we can actually use this in various situations to actually bear witness in certain events. With a growing reliance on natural energy, another emerging area for meteorologists is that of the energy sector. Energy sector has diverse requirements for meteorological services, especially for the decision makers in the day-to-day operations and long-term strategic planning. The demand for forecasts in this area is going to grow, and in terms of the need for hourly and both monthly data, especially that on the time scales of climate. Grid operators need to know what is happening in terms of the wind, temperature, and cloud cover, especially for solar paneling. Energy traders also are going to be trading in this area. So it is going to be, again, a very interesting area of study. We also need to monitor what is happening in terms of severe weather, as severe weather can damage these grids and actually affect the power supply eventually. Climate services. Climate services and looking at climate change and climate variability is very important to us going forward. Our weather and climate is changing. So weather agencies are looking for climatologists, agrometeorologists, health researchers. Private sectors are also looking for what we call future traders, looking at companies that look at how we can invest in climate forecast, climate financing, reassurance companies as well. Very important. So climate services and looking at our climatology going forward is going to be a really interesting area. We are islands of the Caribbean. Therefore, marine weather is integral to how we understand what is happening in terms of the weather around us. Marine meteorology is one that deals with the physics of the marine atmosphere immediately above the ocean surface. Do you know that there are not many marine meteorologists in the Caribbean? So this is an area that you can look into. We look at forecasting specific to oceanic and coastal areas, look at the weather elements that affect ocean transport and even in the fishery industry. These elements include, of course, wind, visibility, and the general state of the weather. And particularly of interest is when we look at storms, storm surge, and rough seas. So this is an area that you can actually look into going forward. Disaster mitigation. With many implementations of disasters, we need to have disaster mitigation to improve the monitoring and prediction of disaster mitigation events across the region. These include the planning and implementation of scenarios to deal with disaster weather events. This includes drought and flood monitoring, hurricane and severe weather forecasting and monitoring, looking at disease and health as well. In our area, we have the CDEMA, which is the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, which works closely with our forecasters in the region to maintain basically and save and help us be safe during these disaster events. Space weather. Yes, we do monitor weather outside of our Earth's atmosphere, particularly that of solar flares emanating from the sun's surface. These solar flares travel through the atmosphere and affect the Earth's magnetosphere. In turn, the magnetosphere can be disrupted and affect our space technology, especially our satellites, which we depend on for our cell phones and television transmissions, and now our electrical grids too can also be affected. Worldwide, there are about 3 centers, space weather centers, which continually monitor the space weather. Again, an interesting job for our meteorologists to go into. I mentioned earlier the WMO, or the World Meteorological Organization. Centered in Geneva, Switzerland, it is the governing body leading in its international efforts to monitor and protect the environment through various innovative programs. The WMO supports the implementation of a number of environmental conventions and is instrumental in providing advice and assessments to our various governments worldwide. These activities contribute significantly to ensuring the sustainable development and well-being of all nations. The future of meteorology may be taking a little bit of a business tilt, but it actually shows how important meteorology is to companies and governments. Insurance companies and risk management companies continue to hire catastrophe risk modelers who assess weather risk for governments and growing companies. Governments, in turn, look for weather derivatives or insurance policies to help them in the recovery process after an adverse weather event, such as hurricanes or severe storms. In the Caribbean, we have such a company. This is called the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility, or CRIFT. They help our governments in the event of storms to recover. Private companies are growing every day. They are private forecasting companies or consulting companies. These help cities, states, and other individuals in looking at how weather affects their operation on a daily basis, as these individuals and companies recognize how important weather is to their jobs and their facilities. Whatever happens, there will be a continued need for the demand on weather forecasting and consulting and monitoring services throughout in terms of warning against adverse weather events. This brings us right back to the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology. As I conclude my presentation today, I ask you to visit our site to see what is going on in terms of the world of meteorology in the Caribbean. We have many various events which we will highlight throughout the day for World Meteorological Day. Again, you can visit cimh.edu.bb for more information. I thank you again, Catherine Caesar, Chief Meteorologist at the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology. Thank you.